Jake Morrison woke up to something strange. His room was full of glowing mist. The mist moved like it was alive. It swirled around his bed and touched his skin with cold fingers. He sat up fast. He had no clothes on. The air system in his room had broken yesterday. It got too hot, so he slept without clothes. Now he felt silly and scared at the same time. The mist was everywhere. It glowed blue and green like ocean water. Jake could see through it, but just barely. It felt wet on his skin, but did not make him wet. Strange. Loud alarms started going off. Red lights flashed in his room. The ship's computer voice spoke in a calm way that did not match how Jake felt. All crew to battle stations. This is not a drill. All crew to battle stations. Jake jumped out of bed. He grabbed his uniform from the floor. The mist seemed to watch him get dressed. It moved closer when he moved. It backed away when he stood still, like it was curious about him. He put on his pants first, then his shirt. His hands shook as he pulled on his boots. The mist kept swirling around him. It made soft sounds like wind through trees. Captain Lisa Grant's voice came over the speakers. She sounded worried. "All hands, we have an unknown contact. Large vessel approaching. Unknown technology. Report to stations immediately." Jake ran to his door. It opened with a soft hiss. The hallway was full of the same glowing mist. Other crew members ran past him. They all looked scared and confused. "Jake!" someone called. It was Tony Miller, the chief engineer. Tony was a big man with rough hands. He looked calm even when things went wrong. But now his face was pale. "What is this stuff?" Jake asked, pointing at the mist. "Don't know," Tony said. "It came through the walls, right through the metal, like the walls were not there." They ran down the hallway together. The mist followed them. Other crew members ran with them. Amy Stevens from Communications, Dr. Helen Park from the science team, Ryan Davis from security. They all had the same scared look. The mist touched each person they passed. It seemed to study them, like it was learning about them. Jake felt it brush against his neck. It was cold but not unpleasant, almost gentle. "It's scanning us," Dr. Park said as they ran. "This mist is some kind of scanner, but I've never seen anything like it." They reached the elevator. The doors opened right away. The mist was thick inside. As they rode up to the bridge, Jake noticed something strange. The mist seemed to react to their emotions. When Amy looked scared, it glowed brighter. When Ryan got angry, it moved faster. The elevator stopped. The doors opened to the bridge. Captain Grant stood at the center. She was a small woman with short gray hair. She had been in space for 20 years. Nothing usually scared her. But now she looked worried. "Report," she said when she saw them. "The mist is throughout the ship," Tony said. "All systems still working, but this stuff went through our shields like they were nothing." Captain Grant nodded. She pointed at the main screen. Jake's mouth fell open. A huge ship floated in space outside. It was bigger than anything Jake had ever seen. 10 times bigger than their research ship. Maybe more. It was black with silver lines that glowed. It looked like art and weapon at the same time. "It appeared 5 minutes ago," the captain said. "No warning. Our sensors didn't see it coming. It just was suddenly there." "How big is it?" Jake asked. 2 kilometers long, half a kilometer wide. We could fit 50 ships our size inside it." The mist on the bridge got thicker. It moved in patterns now, like it was writing in a language they could not read, swirls and loops that meant something to someone. "Captain," Amy called from her station, "I'm getting a signal. It's not like any communication I know, but it's definitely a signal." "Put it on speakers," the captain said. Strange sounds filled the bridge. Not words, not music. Something between the two. It sounded beautiful and scary at the same time. The mist danced to the sounds. Dr. Park worked at her station. Her fingers moved fast over the controls. "These readings are incredible," she said. "This mist is alive. Not like us, but alive. It's made of things I can't identify, and it's learning." "Learning what?" Captain Grant asked. "Everything. Our biology, our technology, how we think, how we feel. It's like the most advanced scanner ever built." Jake felt the mist touch his face again. This time it felt different, warmer, like it knew him better now. "Can it hurt us?" "I don't think so," Dr. Park said. "It's not trying to hurt us. It's trying to understand us." The sounds from the speakers changed. They became more organized, more like language. The mist began to form shapes in the air, geometric patterns that hurt to look at. "They're trying to talk to us," Amy said. "Whoever they are, they want to communicate." Captain Grant took a deep breath. "Open a channel. Standard first contact protocols." Amy worked at her station. "Channel open, Captain." Captain Grant stepped forward. She spoke in a clear, strong voice. "This is Captain Lisa Grant of the Earthship Aurora's Edge. We come in peace. Please identify yourselves." The response came. Immediately. The voice that answered was like metal scraping against stone. But they could understand the words. "We are the Zephyrian Empire. You are primitives. But you are interesting primitives. We will study you before we decide what to do with you." The bridge went quiet. Everyone looked at each other. Jake felt his heart beat faster. The mist around them glowed brighter, as if it could sense their fear. "What do you mean, study us?" Captain Grant asked. "Your species is unusual. Most beings cannot function when exposed to our bioscanners. They become paralyzed with fear, or their minds break. But you continue to think, continue to act. This is unexpected." Jake realized something terrible. The mist was not just studying them. It was supposed to disable them. It was supposed to make them helpless. But it had not worked on humans. "We are not like most species," Captain Grant said. "Perhaps we can talk, learn from each other." The alien voice made a sound like laughter, but not happy laughter. "You will be studied. Then you will be cataloged. Then we will decide if you are useful, or if you should be eliminated." The huge ship outside began to glow. The mist in their ship moved faster. It was getting ready for something. Jake looked around the bridge. His crewmates all had the same expression. Not fear anymore. Something else. Determination. Humans did not give up easily. They never had. "Captain," Jake said quietly, "maybe they picked the wrong species to mess with." Captain Grant smiled for the first time since this started. "Maybe they did, Jake. Maybe they did." The alien ship grew brighter. The mist inside Aurora's Edge began to change. It moved in new patterns. Faster patterns. Jake felt it pressing against his skin like invisible hands. "Captain," Amy called from her station. "Multiple signals coming in. They're mapping our entire ship. Every room, every system." Dr. Park looked up from her readings. Her face was pale. "The bioscanner is getting stronger. I can feel it trying to get inside my head, like someone knocking on a door in my brain." Other crew members nodded. They felt it too. Ryan Davis gripped his weapons console harder. "It's like they're trying to look inside our thoughts." Captain Grant stood tall. "Can you block it, Tony?" "Yo, that Chief Engineer shook his head. Our shields do nothing against this. It's not energy or matter like we know. It's something else entirely. The alien voice spoke again. It sounded surprised. Fascinating. Your neural patterns are chaotic. Most species have ordered thoughts, predictable thoughts. But you think in random patterns. How do you function with such mental disorder? Jake almost laughed. Mental disorder. Humans had been called worse things. We call it creativity, Captain Grant said. We call it being human. Creativity. The alien repeated the word like it tasted bad. A primitive concept. Order is superior. Control is superior. We will show you. The mist suddenly became heavy. Jake felt pressure on his chest. Breathing became hard. Around the bridge, crew members grabbed their stations for support. This is what happens to other species, the alien voice said. Fear paralyzes them. They cannot think, cannot act. They become helpless. Jake felt the fear. It was real and strong, like ice in his veins. But something else was stronger. Anger. These aliens thought humans were just another weak species to push around. They were wrong. He looked at his crewmates. Amy was breathing hard, but still working at her station. Tony was sweating, but his hands stayed steady. Dr. Park's face was tight with concentration, but she kept taking readings. Humans were scared, but they did not stop working. Impossible, the alien voice said. The surprise was clear. You should be unable to function. Your fear levels are extreme, but you continue to operate your systems. Captain Grant smiled a cold smile. You don't know humans very well. We know 17 species across 17 star systems. All of them reacted the same way to our scanners. Terror, paralysis, mental collapse, then surrender. 17 conquered species, Dr. Park said quietly. They've done this before. Jake felt sick. How many planets had these aliens taken over? How many people had they hurt or killed? The Zephyrian Empire brings order to chaos, the alien continued. We find primitive species. We study them. We improve them. Or we remove them if they cannot be improved. What gives you the right? Captain Grant asked. Strength gives us the right. Intelligence gives us the right. We are superior in every way. The mist began to form shapes around them. Jake saw images in the swirling patterns, ships burning, cities falling, people running in fear. The aliens were showing them what happened to species that resisted. These were the Kethmar of System 7, the voice explained. They tried to fight us. Their weapons were primitive. Their tactics were obvious. They lasted 6 hours. More images formed. Different aliens with different ships, all of them being destroyed. The Vorthak of System 12. They tried to hide from us. We found them in 47 minutes. Image after image of defeated species, each one lasting a shorter time than the last. You see the pattern, the voice said. Resistance is pointless. Surrender brings peace. Fight us and bring only death. Jake watched the images. Each species seemed to fight the same way. With logic. With organized tactics. With predictable strategies. Dr. Park, he said quietly. What did all those species have in common? She understood immediately. Her fingers flew over her controls. Analyzing the tactical data they're showing us. Jake, you're right. Every single species fought exactly the same way. Logical formations, predictable movements, no creativity. Like they all thought the same way, Amy added. The alien voice interrupted them. Enough analysis. You will now experience what the others experienced. Full neural suppression. The mist became a storm. It pressed against Jake's mind like a giant hand trying to squeeze his brain. He heard his crewmates gasp and moan. The pressure was incredible. But Jake had felt pressure before. Growing up poor in Detroit, fighting for every chance he got, making it through Space Academy when everyone said he was not smart enough. Humans knew pressure. He pushed back against the mental attack, not with logic or organization, with pure, stubborn human will. "I don't think so," he said out loud. Around the bridge, other humans were fighting back too. Ryan Davis was growling like an angry bear. Amy Stevens was muttering curse words in 3 different languages. Dr. Park was calculating something complex in her head to keep her mind busy. "This is not possible," the alien voice said. "You should be unconscious. Your mind should be broken." Captain Grant was still standing, still in command. "Maybe you need to find a new hobby." The pressure suddenly stopped. The mist pulled back like it was shocked. "Commander Zix Thala," a new voice said. This one was younger, less certain. "The primitives are still functional. The neural suppression had no lasting effect." "I can see that, Sub-Commander Veltar," the first voice replied. "Increase scanner intensity." "Commander, the scanners are already at maximum safe levels." "Then exceed." "Safe levels?" Jake heard worry in the younger voice. "Commander, that could damage our own biosystems." "Do it." The mist came back stronger than before. This time, Jake felt like his skull was being crushed. But he also felt something else. The mist was absorbing more than just their fear and thoughts. It was taking in their memories, their emotions, their dreams. Every human on the bridge was remembering things. Good things and bad things. Love and loss. Victory and defeat. The whole messy, complicated experience of being human. And the mist was drinking it all in. "Commander," the younger alien voice said. There was panic in it now. "Something is wrong with the bioscanner data. It's not just collecting information. It's changing." "What do you mean, changing?" "The scanner matrix is being influenced by the primitive emotional data. Our systems are experiencing irregularities." Jake felt a moment of hope. Maybe human chaos was more powerful than alien order. "Shut down the scanners," the commander ordered. "I cannot, Commander. The system is locked in feedback loop with the primitive neural patterns." The mist began to behave strangely. Instead of organized swirls, it moved in wild, random patterns, like it was confused, like it was learning to be human. "Status report," Captain Grant called. "The aliens are losing control of their scanning system," Dr. Park reported. "Our brain patterns are too chaotic for their technology to handle." Jake grinned. "So our biggest weakness is actually our biggest strength?" "Looks like it." On the screen, the huge alien ship was flickering. Lights were going on and off in no pattern. "Commander Zixathala," the young voice said, "request permission to withdraw bioscanners and attempt standard communication protocols." "Denied. These primitives must be cataloged." "But, Commander, the contamination is spreading to other ship systems." "Then purge the contamination." I cannot. The primitive thought patterns are too complex. They resist purging." Jake realized something important. The aliens had conquered 17 species, but they had never met anything like humans before. They were not prepared for the beautiful mess that was human consciousness. "Captain," he said, "maybe it's time we taught them something about creativity." Captain Grant nodded. "Amy, open a channel to the younger one." "The Sub-Commander." "Channel open." "Sub-Commander Veltar." Captain Grant said. "This is Captain Grant. Would you like to learn why your systems are failing?" There was a long pause. Then the young voice answered, very quietly. "Yes." Captain Grant spoke directly to the young alien officer. "Sub-Commander Veltar, what you're experiencing is called human nature. Your systems can't handle it because you've never encountered anything like it before." Silence. Primitives. Commander Zixathala interrupted. "Veltar, discontinue all communication with them." But the young sub-commander seemed curious. "Captain Grant, explain what you mean by human nature." Jake watched the mist around them. It was still moving in wild patterns. Sometimes it formed shapes that looked almost like faces, human faces showing different emotions: happy, sad, angry, confused. "Your scanner absorbed our thoughts and feelings," Dr. Park explained. "But human emotions don't follow logical patterns. We can feel happy and sad at the same time. We can be brave and scared together. Your computer systems don't understand this." "That makes no sense," Commander Zixathala said. "Emotions should be organized. Fear should stop action. Joy should create predictable behavior." "Not for humans," Captain Grant replied. "We're complicated." To prove the point, the aliens decided to test them. The mist suddenly changed. It showed each crew member their worst fears. Jake saw his childhood home burning down, his parents crying, his little sister calling for help that never came. The fear hit him like a punch to the stomach, but instead of freezing up, Jake used the fear. He remembered how that terrible day had made him stronger, how it taught him to fight for the people he cared about. The fear became fuel for determination. Around the bridge, his crewmates faced their own nightmares. Amy saw herself lost in space, her communications equipment broken, unable to call for help. But instead of panicking, she started working faster, at her station, checking all systems to make sure they worked perfectly. Tony faced an image of the ship's engines exploding, killing everyone aboard. The vision made him sweat, but he immediately began running diagnostics to make sure all systems were safe. Ryan saw enemies attacking his family. His hands clenched into fists, but he used that anger to focus on protecting his current crew family. Dr. Park saw herself making a mistake that killed her research team. The guilt was terrible, but it made her more careful, more precise in her current work. "This is impossible," Commander Zixathala said. "Fear should paralyze you. Instead, you work better." "You don't understand humans," Captain Grant said. "We don't let our emotions control us. We use them." The aliens tried again. This time they showed each human their greatest desires: fame, wealth, power, love. All the things people dreamed about. Jake saw himself as an admiral commanding a huge fleet. For a moment, he felt tempted. Then he looked around at his current crew. These people trusted him. They needed him here, now. The fantasy felt hollow compared to real responsibility. Amy saw herself as the most famous communications officer in the galaxy. Everyone knew her name, but she realized she cared more about doing her job well than being famous for it. Each human faced their temptations and chose duty over desire. "They resist both fear and desire," the young sub-commander said. His voice was full of wonder. "How is this possible?" "Because we're not just logical beings," Jake explained. "We're emotional and logical at the same time. That makes us unpredictable, but it also makes us strong." The aliens tried other tests. They created impossible puzzles that should have frustrated the humans into giving up. Instead, Kate Johnson, their navigation officer, solved them using intuition, and creative thinking. They sent confusing signals that should have overwhelmed Amy's communication systems. But Amy found patterns in the chaos that pure logic would have missed. They presented Tony with engineering problems that had no logical solutions. Tony combined standard procedures with wild improvisation to fix things that should have been unfixable. Each test proves the same thing, Dr. Park observed. Human thinking combines order and chaos, logic and emotion. That combination is something your species has never encountered. Commander Zix Thala was getting frustrated. This is irrelevant. You are still primitive. Your technology is inferior. Your ships are small and weak. Maybe, Captain Grant agreed. But we're still here talking to you instead of being conquered. Jake had an idea. Sub-Commander Veltar, what were the other 17 species like? The ones you conquered? The young alien was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke carefully. They were similar to us. Logical, organized. They thought in clear patterns. When we analyzed their behavior, we could predict their every move. But, you can't predict us, Amy said. No, your actions make no sense. You should have surrendered when you saw our superior ship. You should have been paralyzed by our bioscanners. You should have given up when faced with impossible tests. That's because you think like machines, Ryan said. Humans aren't machines. We're alive. Dr. Park was studying her readings again. Commander, I'm detecting something interesting in the scanner data. The biomist that's been studying us. It's changing. What do you mean? Captain Grant asked. It's picking up human characteristics, learning to think in chaotic patterns, and that's causing problems throughout their ship. On the main screen, they could see the alien vessel. Lights were blinking in random patterns instead of organized sequences. Parts of the ship were moving when they should have been still. Sub-Commander, came a new voice over the communication channel. We're experiencing system failures throughout the ship. The contamination is spreading. Contamination? Jake asked. The young sub-commander sounded embarrassed. They mean the human thought patterns that our bioscanner absorbed. Our computer systems are designed for logical, predictable data. Human thoughts are disruptive. Veltar, Commander. Zix Thala snapped. Status report. Commander, 17 different ship systems are malfunctioning. Our bioscanner absorbed too much human consciousness. The chaotic patterns are spreading through our network like a virus. Jake realized something. Amazing. You've conquered 17 species because they all thought like you do. Logical and predictable, but we think differently. And that difference is breaking your systems. This is temporary, the commander insisted. We will adapt. We will overcome this disruption. Maybe, Captain Grant said. But while you're adapting, we're learning too. Dr. Park held up her readings. I've been analyzing their technology through the bioscanner connection. Captain, their systems are incredibly advanced, but they're also incredibly specialized. They're designed to work with species that think logically, and humans don't, Tony grinned. Exactly. Their own technology is becoming a weakness because it can't handle human unpredictability. The lights on the alien ship flickered more wildly. Jake could hear stress in the sub-commander's voice as he reported more system failures. Commander, the contamination has reached our navigation systems. We're experiencing random course changes. Impossible. Run a full system purge. We've tried, Commander. The human thought patterns resist purging. They adapt and survive our attempts to remove them. Captain Grant looked at her crew. You know what this means? Jake nodded. For the first time in their conquest of 17 systems, They've met a species that their technology can't handle. More than that, Dr. Park added, we're not just resisting them. We're accidentally teaching their machines to be more human. The mist around them had settled into gentle, swirling patterns. It almost looked peaceful now, like it was learning to be calm instead of aggressive. "Sub-Commander Veltar," Captain Grant called. "I think it's time you and your commander learn something important about humans." "What is that?" "We don't just survive chaos. We thrive in it. And once we understand your technology, well, let's just say this could get very interesting." The screen, more lights began flickering on the alien ship. But now they almost looked like they were flickering in rhythm, like a heartbeat, like the ship itself was learning to be alive. Captain Grant made a decision that surprised everyone, including herself. "Open all channels, Amy. I want to broadcast to their entire ship." "Captain?" Jake asked. "What are you planning?" "Something crazy. Something unpredictable. Something human." Amy's fingers flew over her controls. "All channels open, Captain. The entire Zephyrian ship can hear us." Captain Grant took a deep breath. "Attention, crew of the Zephyrian vessel. This is Captain Lisa Grant of the Earthship Aurora's Edge. I want to tell you a story." "Captain," Commander Zixathala interrupted. "Stop this foolishness immediately. It's a story about a species that thought they were superior to everyone else." "Sound familiar?" Jake smiled. He was beginning to understand the captain's plan. She was going to do something the aliens would never expect. She was going to treat them like equals instead of enemies. Thousands of years ago on Earth, humans believed that their tribe was better than other tribes. Some tribes conquered others. They thought strength made them right. But you know what they learned? Silence from the alien ship. But Jake noticed the mist around them was listening, moving in slow, interested patterns. They learned that the strongest tribes weren't the ones that conquered others. They were the ones that learned from others, the ones that shared knowledge and culture and made everyone stronger together. "Primitive philosophy," Commander Zixathala said, but his voice sounded less certain than before. Maybe, but it worked. Humans went from fighting each other with sticks and stones to traveling between stars. Not because we conquered everyone else, but because we learned to work together. Dr. Park caught on to the plan. She started uploading human cultural files through the bioscanner connection. "I'm sending them examples, Captain. Art, music, literature, scientific discoveries." "What are you doing?" Sub-Commander Veltar asked. "We're showing you who we really are," Jake said. "Not just our fears and weaknesses that your scanner found, our creativity, our achievements, our potential." Tony joined in. "I'm uploading our engineering innovations, technologies we developed by combining logic with intuition." Amy added communication protocols that mixed mathematics with poetry. "Here's how we learned to talk to each other across vast distances of space." The alien ship's lights began pulsing in new patterns, not chaotic like before, but rhythmic, like music. "What is happening to our systems?" came a voice from the alien ship. A different voice, confused and worried. "The contamination is evolving," Sub-Commander Veltar reported. "It's no longer disrupting our systems. It's improving them." Jake felt the bio-mist around them changing, too. It felt warmer now, more curious than threatening, like it was starting to understand what humanity was really about. "I'm reading some amazing changes in their ship," Dr. Park reported. "Their efficiency is actually increasing. Systems that were rigid before are becoming adaptive. They're learning to improvise. Captain Grant continued her broadcast. You see, the 17 species you conquered probably fought you with logic and order. They tried to outthink you and outorganize you. But they couldn't, because you're very good at logical thinking. We are superior in logical analysis, Commander Zixathala agreed, though he sounded puzzled about where this was going. But humans don't just think with logic. We think with our hearts, too. We create art for no logical reason, except that it makes us happy. We help strangers even when there's no benefit to us. We dream about impossible things and then figure out how to make them possible. More voices were coming from the alien ship now, younger voices asking questions. Sub-Commander, what is this sensation I'm experiencing? I don't know. It's like curiosity, but stronger. My thoughts are becoming less organized. Is this dangerous? Sub-Commander Veltar sounded worried. Commander, the human cultural data is affecting our crew. They're experiencing emotional responses we've never seen before. Purge the data immediately, the commander ordered. I can't, sir. The crew doesn't want it purged. They say they want to explore these new feelings. Jake realized what was happening. The bioscanner didn't just scan us. It created a connection. Now your people are experiencing human emotions for the first time. This is exactly what happened to your computer systems, Dr. Park added. Except now, it's happening to your people. They're learning to feel things they've never felt before. Captain Grant's voice was gentle but firm. Commander Zixathala, your people are discovering what it means to be curious instead of just logical, to wonder about things instead of just analyzing them. A new voice came over the speakers, young and excited. Sub-Commander, I just experienced something called wonder while looking at human music. The mathematical patterns are beautiful in ways that serve no logical purpose. How is this possible? Unknown, Veltar replied. But he sounded interested rather than worried. Another voice joined in. Commander, the humans have shared something called poetry. It uses language in inefficient ways, but it creates pleasure. Is that the right word? This is contamination, Commander Zixathala insisted. These emotions make you weak. They cloud judgment. Actually, Captain Grant said, they make us stronger. Let me show you. She nodded to her crew. Each person began, sharing personal stories through the bioscanner connection. Not just facts, but feelings. Jake shared his memory of the first time he saw Earth from space. The beauty of it. The feeling of being small but also part of something infinite. Amy shared her joy at making contact with a distant colony that had been lost for months. The tears of happiness when families heard their loved ones were safe. Tony shared his pride in fixing a critical system during an emergency. Not just the technical achievement, but the satisfaction of helping his crewmates survive. Dr. Park shared her wonder at discovering a new form of life, the excitement of learning something no human had ever known before. Ryan shared his protective feelings for his crew, how love could make someone braver instead of more afraid. The bio-mist around them glowed brighter with each shared memory. And on the alien ship, more voices began speaking. Commander, I understand now. The humans don't use emotions instead of logic. They use emotions and logic together. This combination creates possibilities we never considered. Their innovations come from asking, what if, instead of just what is? Sub-Commander Veltar's voice was full of awe. Commander, their chaotic thinking patterns aren't random. They're creative. They imagine solutions that pure logic would never find. This is still weakness, the commander insisted, but he sounded less sure. "Is it?" Captain Grant asked. "Your people have conquered 17 systems using the same methods, the same logical approaches. But what happens when you meet a problem that logic can't solve?" Jake added. "What happens when you need to adapt to something completely new, something you've never seen before?" The alien ship's lights were now pulsing in complex patterns. Beautiful patterns that served no logical purpose except to be beautiful. "Commander," came a whisper from one of the younger aliens. "What if the humans are right? What if there are things more important than just being logical?" For the first time since this encounter began, Commander Zixthala was completely silent. Sub-Commander Veltar spoke instead. "Captain Grant, we request permission to continue this cultural exchange. My people are experiencing things we've never felt before. We want to understand more." Captain Grant smiled. "Permission granted, Sub-Commander. Welcome to the wonderful, messy, impossible world of being human." 3 days passed. 3 amazing, impossible days. The biomist still filled both ships, but now it felt like a bridge instead of a weapon. Through it, humans and Zephyrians shared thoughts, feelings, and ideas in ways that neither species had ever experienced. Jake found himself in conversations with young Zephyrian officers who had never questioned their empire's methods before. They asked him endless questions about human emotions, human art, human dreams. "Explain to me again why humans create music," asked Kethvar, a Zephyrian engineer. "It serves no survival purpose. It builds no tools, yet you say it's important." Jake smiled. "Play that piece Amy shared yesterday, the one by Mozart." Beautiful music filled the bridge through the bio connection. Complex mathematical patterns that somehow became pure emotion. "Do you feel anything when you hear it?" Jake asked. Kethvar was quiet for a long moment. "Yes. I feel sadness and joy at the same time. How is this possible?" "That's what makes it beautiful. It doesn't have to make logical sense, it just has to make you feel." Similar conversations were happening all over both ships. Dr. Park was teaching Zephyrian scientists about intuitive research methods. Tony was showing their engineers how to solve problems by breaking rules instead of following them. But the most important conversation was happening between Captain Grant and Sub-Commander Veltar. "My people are changing," Veltar said. "They think differently now. They question orders that they would have followed without thought before." "Is that bad?" Captain Grant asked. "I don't know. For our entire history, order has been everything. Everyone knows their place. Everyone follows. Commands. It made us strong. But did it make you happy?" Veltar considered this. "We never thought about happiness. It seemed irrelevant. And now? Now I wonder why we never thought it was important." Throughout their ship, young Zephyrians were experiencing doubt for the first time. Not the weakness that their commanders feared, but the strength that comes from questioning assumptions. "Commander Zixthala grows more isolated each day," Veltar confided. "He refuses to experience the human emotions. He says they are contamination that must be resisted." "But you don't agree." "No. I think they are enlightenment." On the 4th day, everything changed. Commander Zixthala finally spoke directly to Captain Grant, but his voice was different, uncertain. "Captain Grant, I need to tell you something." "I'm listening, Commander." "Last night while I slept, the bioscanner connection activated automatically. I experienced something from your memories, a human memory of failure." Jake leaned forward. This was the first time the Zephyrian commander had admitted to being affected by human consciousness. "What did you see?" Captain Grant asked gently. "I saw through the eyes of one of your crew members, Jake Morrison. I experienced his childhood, the poverty, the failure to protect his family from tragedy, the pain of loss." Jake felt embarrassed and exposed. His worst memories had somehow reached the alien commander. "But then I experienced something impossible," the commander continued. "I felt how Jake Morrison used that pain, how he turned failure into determination, how he made weakness into strength. That's what humans do," Captain Grant said. "We don't let our failures define us. We let them teach us. For 300 years I have commanded Zephyrian forces. We have conquered system after system. We never failed because we only attacked species we knew we could defeat. We avoided anything that might challenge us." Jake realized what the commander was saying. "You were afraid of failure, so you only picked fights you knew you could win." "Yes. And we called it logical strategy. But it was fear. The same emotion we despise in other species." The biomist around them pulsed with sudden understanding. The commander was experiencing his first moment of real self-awareness. "But last night, through your memories, I learned something new," Zixthala continued. "Failure is not the end of strength. It is the beginning of wisdom." Captain Grant's voice was warm. "It took you 300 years to learn what humans figure out as children, that it's okay to be wrong sometimes." "More than okay," the commander said. "Necessary. How can you grow if you never face challenges that might defeat you?" "Sub-Commander." Veltar's voice was excited. "Commander, does this mean you're willing to consider new approaches?" Veltar. "I'm willing to consider something that no Zephyrian has ever considered before. I'm willing to consider that we might be wrong about everything." Jake felt the biomist surge with emotion from the alien ship. Hundreds of Zephyrian voices began speaking at once. Not in panic, but in excitement. "If we were wrong about conquest, being the only way, if we were wrong about emotions being weakness, if we were wrong about order being more important than growth, then what else might we be wrong about?" the commander finished. Dr. Park was reading massive changes in the alien ship systems. "Captain, they're reconfiguring their entire technological approach. They're building adaptability into systems that were previously rigid." "They're learning to be human," Amy said with wonder. "No," Sub-Commander Veltar corrected. "We're learning to be Zephyrian in a new way, a way that includes the best of human nature." Commander Zixthala made an announcement to both ships. I'm officially ending the Zephyrian Empire's policy of conquest. Effective immediately, we will return the 17 conquered systems to their original inhabitants." Cheers erupted from the human crew. But Jake felt something even more amazing. Through the bio-connection, the same joy was coming from the young Zephyrians. "Furthermore," the commander continued, "we propose the creation of something new, an alliance of species based on mutual learning rather than conquest. We offer to share our advanced technology in exchange for learning more about creativity, emotion, and adaptability." Captain Grant stood up. "Commander, on behalf of humanity, we accept your proposal." "There is one more thing," Zixthala said. "Sub-Commander Veltar has requested permission to transfer to your ship. He wishes to become the first Zephyrian to serve aboard a human vessel." Jake looked at his crewmates. They were all grinning. "Permission granted," Captain Grant said immediately. As the bio-mist began to fade, Jake realized something wonderful. When he had awakened naked and vulnerable 4 days ago, he thought it was his most embarrassing moment. Instead, it had become symbolic of something beautiful. Humans had faced superior alien technology with nothing but their authentic selves. No pretense, no false strength, just honest human nature. And that honesty had created the first true friendship between species. In galactic history, you know what's funny? Jake said to Captain Grant as they watched the alien ship preparing to return the first of the conquered worlds to its people. What's that? You told them a story about humans learning to work together instead of fighting each other. And they listened because they were ready to learn the same lesson. Captain Grant nodded. Sometimes the best weapon against hatred is just showing people a better way to live. Through the bio connection, Jake felt Sub-Commander Veltar preparing to transport to their ship. He also felt something from the young Zephyrian that made him smile. Curiosity, wonder, hope, the first alien in history to experience purely human emotions. "Welcome to the family, Veltar," Jake said out loud. "Thank you, Jake Morrison," came the reply. "I am eager to learn what other impossible things humans call normal." 6 months later, Jake Morrison was promoted to captain of the first integrated human Zephyrian exploration vessel. Their mission was to find other species throughout the galaxy and offer them something the universe had never seen before. Choice between conquest and cooperation, between fear and friendship, between the loneliness of superiority and the joy of equals learning from each other. The ship was called Aurora's Hope, and its bio-mist communication system allowed dozens of species to share thoughts and feelings across the galaxy. And sometimes, when Jake was alone on the bridge during night shift, he thought about that morning when he had awakened naked and afraid. He had been so embarrassed about being exposed and vulnerable. Now he understood that vulnerability was humanity's greatest gift to the universe. The willingness to be seen as you really are, flaws and all, was the first step toward genuine connection. And genuine connection, it turned out, was the most powerful force in the galaxy.